All righty. I think they call that a winning streak. 2 in a row, baby. Just when you think all is lost, just when you think the sky is falling, um, you know, that's baseball season. Knicks get a win against the shorthanded Phoenix Suns. 102-83. As I noticed behind me, my picture is crooked. This one was kind of a laugher from the early going. The Suns got off to a 4-0 lead. The Knicks scored the next 12 straight points. And after a 21-0 run, we're up 52-20. I believe that was the score in the middle of the second quarter. And basically from the 4:30 mark of the second quarter to the end of the game, the Knicks played as if they were trying to run out the clock. And that's kind of how it felt. And that's kind of how it looked at times. The beautiful basketball that we saw over the first, do some quick math, 18 minutes of the game, for the most part, largely dissipated, at least at the offensive end, as the Knicks scored as many points over the final 28 minutes as they scored, actually fewer over the final 28 minutes as they scored over the first 18. Man, not my day for math. Anyway, it was a good win nonetheless. They came in to their home building, afternoon start. I'm not sure if the Mavs game was their last afternoon home start. I feel like it was. We know how that went after they had a nice opening to that game. Did not close it out today. A little bit of a different story. Of course, no Doncic on the other side of the court certainly helps. In this case, it was no Devin Booker. Whatever. It's a win. They played well. They're playing well right now. Getting Jalen Brunson back after the last 3 games was really important. And like he ended up shooting 8 of 18, missed some free throws. That's starting to become a little bit concerning. Ended up with 24 points, 6 assists. They're just a better team when he's on the floor. I know they've still been scoring for the most part, even when he has been out. And credit to the other guy we're going to talk about in a second for that. But their offense just flows a lot better when he's in there. And, you know, with him in there and with Randle playing like this and with all of the rest of their pieces in there, even without RJ, the formula works. And I'm not trying. This is going to come off to certain people who will want it to come off that way as like a hating RJ comment. But like they could withstand the loss of RJ. Brunson, it's tougher. Randle, when he's playing like this, it's tougher. RJ, you plop Emmanuel quickly into the starting 5. There are some things he doesn't do as well as RJ Barrett. There are some things he does better than RJ Barrett. I think there is certainly an argument to be made that a guy who's a little bit better defensively, who's maybe a little bit of a quicker decision maker with the ball, maybe is a little bit of a better fit. To me, it's 6 of one, half dozen the other, and it's not worth spending a whole lot of time on because Emmanuel quickly, when he's coming off the bench, is kind of like the 6th starter anyway. And when RJ Barrett is starting, he's helping run bench units anyway. They're both playing a lot of minutes. Obviously, the guy who starts is going to play a lot of minutes or more minutes. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. Quickly fit in very nicely. He was either him or Mitchell Robinson, I would say, would be the 3rd best player in this game after Jalen Brunson. And of course, Julius Randle. Starting to run out of things to say about Julius Randle in these post games. I'm just going to keep echoing the same sentiments that I've been coming on here and trying to make very clear. For one, I was absolutely wrong in the offseason when I was like, get this guy out of here. I don't care if you're trading him for nothing and you have to give up a protected 1st-round pick to do it. The risk was too great. The reward wasn't worth it. Well, guess who didn't know what they were talking about? Because he's playing like an all-star. And at this rate, I am going to really be eating my words because I think he's going to make the all-star team. 28 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists. 3rd straight game, he had at least 6 assists. Prior to the Spurs game, he hadn't had at least half a dozen assists in 2 straight games at any point in time this year. Now he's done it in 3 straight games. Passing the ball exquisitely. He's obviously knocking down shots, although today he was only 4 of 12 from deep. But you know what? The way he's firing away from 3, like the volume he's putting up. This, with 4 threes today, that took him over 100 made threes for the season. That makes him, I believe, one of either 10 or 11 players in the NBA this season to have over 100 made threes. Think about this. This is a guy who, when he came to New York and in his first year in New York, was not a three-point shooter at all. And now there are 10 guys in the entire league who have more made threes than him. It's a big part of how his offensive game has continued to grow. But he's mixing in a lot of the other things that, continuing to mix in a lot of the other things that we saw him start to try to do from the early going this year. There's other stuff that is worth talking about from this game. I would be remiss if I did not mention the fact that the starters were in until 1 minute left in a game in which the Knicks were up by 20 points. Tibbs going to Tibbs. Tibbs going to Tibbs. The stuff that makes him great is the stuff that he does that makes you want to pull your hair out. And it's just such a fascinating dichotomy where there are people like me who will swear up and down by him and the mentality he brings to an organization and all of the good things that come with a Tom Thibodeau coach team. And we're going to look up after this game and you're going to look at a Knicks team that, despite being 20-18, going to remain top 10 in defense, going to remain top 10 in offense. Actually, they may fall out of the top 10 in offense, but the defensive number is certainly going to go up. Whatever. The statistical profile of this team is one that is not mediocre, but legitimately good. And, probably a credit to Tibbs. At the same time, there are still a lot of people out there who will watch the end of a game like this and watch the guys who are out on the floor and be like, I don't care what he brings that's a positive. Get me literally anyone else as my head coach. Who's right? Who's wrong? That's not my place to say. That's really it. Everybody played well. This is a good win. It's nice to get 2 straight. It's nice to start off what is, I believe, 4 home games in 5 days with a win. I think this team could start to pick up a little bit of momentum. The schedule, I will not say the schedule is easy coming up, but the schedule coming up is manageable. They got San Antonio at home on Wednesday. They go to Toronto on Friday, 2 teams that they probably feel like they owe one to. Milwaukee, we'll see who's healthy for that Bucks game at home, and then Indiana at home, which would be a very interesting rematch, especially in light of the Wally Zerbiak comments in the last game. I'm sure Tyrese Halliburton has that one circled. And then you got some more games that you should be able to win, although got teams like Washington playing better. Some more games against Toronto, an Atlanta game, a Cleveland game, but they could make a little headway here. So who's it going to be? Is it going to be the team that shows up and plays like this, or is it going to be the team that has a more difficult time? Although I'll end by saying this, and then we'll get to the super chats. Even during the 5-game losing streak, they've never, since they made the change to the starting 5, don't really think we could look at this team and say they've played truly bad basketball. They've had bad moments. The Mavs game was not a good moment. The end of the West Coast trip against the Warriors and against the Suns, those weren't great games. But all in all, or the middle of the West Coast trip, I should say. But all in all, since they made the change to the starting lineup, and now we're talking about a quarter of the season, we don't really have evidence that this team is ever going to go and just completely look like a shell of itself for a sustained period of time. They have their moments in games, and they've had their issues closing games out. But as we look forward with the schedule, assuming decent health, Brunson, Randle, 2 key guys, Mitchell Robinson, I would throw in that category too. They need him healthy and motivated. There is reason to believe that this team is going to continue to win more games than it loses. And that's kind of cool because I think, at this point in this season, regardless of what your thoughts may have been about how this team should be approaching this year before it started, at this point, let's just have some fun. Let's go for the 6th seed. Let's see if we can put a scare into someone in the first round. That should be the goal. I think that is their goal. As Andrew texts me, careful, I know a guy that looked ahead at the schedule to his own peril. I'm not out here predicting whatever the hell you predicted, 13-5 or something like that. Just keep winning more games than you lose. That's all that it comes down to. All right. We start today the Super Chat segment. Yes, 13-5 is still in play, Andrew. Thank you. The Super Chat segment We're actually going to start before we get to our usual ad read. Flashy snuck in a super chat at the end of the New Year's Eve edition of the post-game show after they beat the Rockets, and we missed it. We stopped the broadcast right before we had a chance to read this. And I just want to say thank you for your very generous contribution. He says, great job this year, guys. Flashy, I hope you're watching right now. Either way, we appreciate you. We appreciate your generosity. We love you. We love everybody in this community. It's awesome. So thank you very much. All right. Andrew's reminding me that we don't have an ad read. Thank you, Andrew. All right. Ryan starts us off with a generous comment. As my daughter's very excited in the other room. I love the afternoon starts, but you do get the small kids in the background. This is the price you have to pay, Knicks fans. Ryan Huang, happy holidays, KFS crew, especially after this game. Is it fair and reasonable? I love that we're abbreviating fair and reasonable now. That the Suns are on the phones offering the Mitchell package for Julius Randle. Bridges might be untouchable, though. Looks like he has a Quentin Grimes ceiling. Hashtag Jalen Brunson is him. I'll say this. I have no idea what the Knicks front office is thinking. Obviously, I have no idea what they're thinking. The Knicks, as of right now, have the same record as the Suns. Just throwing that out there. At the same time, though, in addition to that, it's not like the Suns have a bunch of picks out the window. It's not like they're one of these desperate teams that needs to win right now. Like, I understand Chris Paul's on the older side, and that's a big deal. But, like, Booker, McCall, Ayton, that's a three-man core that can probably take you forward. Like, I don't view the Suns as a team desperate, like, oh, my God, we got to make a run right now. As for the Knicks, someone in the chat, I'm sure, will remind me if I'm forgetting something, but when is the last time we've had a team that was at the midway point of the season that was legitimately in the thick of the playoff race, which I think we could say right now? I mean, the Knicks are in 7th place. I think they're a half game back of the Pacers, who knows what they're going to do. Like, I don't know if the Knicks should be considered the favorites for the 6th seed right now, but certainly 7, at worst 8. They look like they're in good position to make a run at that. When's the last time a team like that traded a player who, if he's not going to be an all-star, he's going to just miss? Like a guy who's playing like an all-star. When's the last time a team in that position in the NBA traded that sort of player? I don't. In the middle of the season, that's the key. In the middle of the season in which they were winning. I don't have an answer. None come to mind. You'll get your like Nikola Vucevic trades, but like the Magic weren't doing anything that year when they traded him to the Bulls, and like trades of that ilk. It would be almost unprecedented if the Knicks were taking calls on Julius, or really taking calls on Julius Randle right now. But then again, you never know. Crazy shit happens in the NBA. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate that. Good way to start us off. Juanon, this was the first time under Tibbs that I didn't scream at the TV for the bench in a blowout, and I'm not sure I ever will again. Lucas Scars. I will say this. I tweeted out, I didn't exhale until it was like under 4 minutes to go. When it was under 4 minutes and the lead was 25, I'm like, okay, we're good. But that's a fair comment. But again, that's what this team has done to us. The minute the lead got under 19. I mean, even like forget that, like the whole end of the second quarter, the whole third quarter, I'm sitting there on the edge of my freaking couch. I'm like, okay, guys, move the ball. Let's make some shots. And like, there was a 12-minute stretch there. I clocked it. There was a 12-minute stretch there where the Knicks made 4 field goals. The offense had really slowed down to a slog. I'm like, shit, if the Suns started in some threes, that's what they've done to us. Anyway, all the best in 2023 for the Knicks and for the KFS fam. Thank you so much, Juanon. Appreciate that. Will Oliver, what's going on, Will? Matinee win, dominating fashion. Happy New Year. Let's start it off on the right foot. But I think I've been pretty consistent about this year. Pretty consistent. I'm never consistent about everything or about anything completely. I am somewhat consistent about some things. I like this team. They're an easy team to like. Even though some people may really not like certain aspects of them. I like them, and I'm looking forward to rooting for them for the next however many games, 44 games. Thanks, Will. Forgotten NYC. Why have Kobe and Shaq when you could have Jalen Brunson and Quentin Grimes? I'll shout out Quentin Grimes here. Very nice day for him. 5 of 9 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3, 12 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. I think you're going to be seeing so many games like that, so many stat lines like that from him moving forward, even when RJ is back in the starting 5. And isn't it amazing how a guy who did not have a play run for him and has never had a play run for him with the Knicks played 36 minutes, a lot of minutes, but 5 assists. And he gets his assists so organically, and he is so emblematic of what is right with his insertion into the starting 5. And I love Quentin Grimes. He's so much fun to watch. Takes nothing off the table. Really doesn't. So, good comment there. Thanks, Forgotten. Appreciate you, as always. As I take a sip of wine. Sticking with the Rusty cigar, by the way. Premium red blend today. Really perfect for a matinee game. Jessica, what's going on, Jessica? A great win. Had to lead the entire game. Great plays from Quickly and Grimes. The return of Brunson and a standing O for Julius. What a great game. Let's go, Knicks. Thank you, Jessica. And I'll just think about where we were this time a year ago. Like, we had right around this time, actually, I believe is when he went out with COVID. And I remember doing the live stream when it was announced. And like, there were a lot of people who were really freaking happy. And I'm not going to begrudge any of those people. And like, we tried to make it clear, like, you never root for anyone to have like ill health of any kind. And like, I think that probably bothered him. But like, I was just as curious as everybody else to be like, wow, I kind of really can't wait to see what this team looks like without Julius Randle. As my daughter is trying to charge her hoverboard, I'm being surrounded by small children. I think my wife has left. My wife has probably caught that long-awaited flight to Mexico. It's okay. And now we're here. And that was before the thumbs down too, right? The COVID thing, like the thumbs down happened. Like, to have started this relationship with this player on not like an incredible down note, but like the first year wasn't good. Then to go so far up, then to come so far down. And now today, MVP chance. Like, this is the greatest roller coaster ride in the history of professional sports. And we're in year 4. That's it. We're in year 4. Where do we go from here? I don't know. Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate it. Keith, what's going on, Keith? Randle getting MVP chance at Madison Square Garden again is wild. Took the words out of my mouth. I wanted him gone as much as anyone, but he's been a beast this year, and I'm happy for him. Happy New Year. I don't know if you wanted him gone more than me. Maybe as much as me. I don't know if you wanted him gone more than me. I was convinced that there was no payoff that could be worth the risk of keeping him around, the downside risk of keeping him around. God, how wrong I was. I just, one of those things. Tried to be objective. I think the emotions of how much I disliked watching him play last year got in the way of that. Okay, here we go. Andrew is reminding me. It was literally right before the thumbs down. The COVID test happened on New Year's Eve versus Oklahoma City 2. Friday is the anniversary of the thumbs down game. How about that? Kind of wish they were home for that. That's okay. Thank you, Keith. Yeah, good call by you. As I look up, I see Monica McNutt, friend of the pod, Monica McNutt on the KFS postgame doing the telestrator because Wally was calling the game today. Kind of wish I was able to listen to her. I'll have to go back and rewatch. Dan Hidalgo, what's going on, Dan? Great to have you. What a way to start the year. Grimes is everything on offense. A lot of Grimes love. Grimes is everything on offense I wanted Shumpert to develop into. Both were 6'5", 210 to 220. Can you compare and contrast them on the defensive end? I was not I don't think I was like analyzing games a decade ago in the way that I at least pretend to do so now. What I recall about Shumpert is that I don't want to say his defense was always better in theory than it was in actuality, because like there are guys who are labeled as 3-and-D guys that are just like either mediocre defenders or like they have really nice defensive moments and they're undone by like the the gambles they take or like the lapses of attention or judgment or whatever. I don't remember Shumpert being one of those guys, but I don't think he ever actualized what we saw as his defensive potential when he first got drafted. And whereas Grimes, Grimes isn't perfect. Like I can think of a couple times today where he was jumping at shooters and the Suns put the ball on the floor and drove on him or whatever. But like for the most part, he's incredibly sound and he really doesn't make mistakes and he's incredibly active. And as a point of attack defender on pretty much every point guard in the league outside of Doncic, because Doncic is the size of a power forward, he's a guy you could stick on, I think, pretty much every point guard and at least feel good about it. And most shooting guards, too. It's where you get into the bigger wings where that's, becomes more of an issue. And that's just like, again, Benji's been all over this since the day Grimes was drafted. If he was 2 inches taller, we'd be talking about a guy who could probably be a real defensive player of the year candidate at some point in his career. The height limitation, I think, is the only thing that will hold him back, because from a skill and an effort and a technique perspective on defense, I think he's already superseded what I recall as the best of Iman Shumpert, for sure. Thanks, Dan. That's a good question. Andrew, late, but happy New Year to you and KFS. Just number one. Really appreciate that. Thank you, Andrew. Don't worry about being late. Happy New Year to you, too. And it's New Year's Day recognized today, so you're not late. Flashy, what's going on, Flashy? You're back. You're back. Glad you're watching. Call me crazy, and I know this sounds silly, but I love comments to start off with call me crazy, but if Randle plays like this, I would trade him because we most likely won't get equal value back. So I think you forgot a not in there. I would not trade him because we most likely won't get equal value back. Andrew's reminding me that he's celebrating President's Day today. Look up if there has to be a president that was born today. Some president of some country somewhere. So, oh man. Look, there's two types, and let me take Randle out of the conversation as my daughter's coming to say hi. You can plug in your thing. There's two types of trades that, like, regardless of circumstance, I think you always have to at least, listen to. And that is if you are upgrading from a star to a better star. And that is if you are getting a package of draft picks that is like, you can't turn it down. Everybody can see my daughter's unicorn robe, who's watching on YouTube right now. It's okay. She's cute. There's no star that's being traded who's a better star than Randle right now. I mean, I'm trying to think of even the situation in the league that you would have to monitor. The Wizards have rebounded. Not that there was any real noise about them trading Bradley Beal anyway, but don't think that's happening. Like, not hold my breath for LeBron James to ask out of LA. Nor would I want to go down that road if I'm being frank. So then the other sort of trade would be a pick package, and like again, who's the team that would trade 3 first round picks, including probably multiple unprotected picks. I can't believe I'm saying that, but like that's the sort of thing that if you're the Knicks, like, you would have to ask for at this point for Randle, because, and we spent so much time talking about the contract. He's on the books for, if you're getting all-star production for a guy that's making $25 million a year, $26 million a year, whatever it is. You want to talk about a bargain? I get he's a there's highs and lows that come with this player. So, like, you can't just evaluate him based on how he's played the last month, a month and a half. You have to consider the larger picture. And that is why, that number is probably pretty close to fair value for him, the financial number. Still, though, man, you'd have to get a huge return right now if you're the Knicks. And, like, I don't think there is going to be an equal return or a commensurate return on the market. So I'm agreeing with you, but I do think, it's worth going through the thought process. That's all I'll say. Thank you, Flashy. Harry Donor, thank you as always. I guess you're a happy man because there's no comment. If you have a comment, we'll get to it. Just a couple quotes before I get to Andrew Palladino's comment. This per Timmy Bontemps. Julius Randle with a big smile. It's good to be on the good side of the garden, he said, in reference, I guess, to the MVP chance. He also said he'd love to be an all-star again, in part to be able to celebrate it with his son. I'm assuming he's referring to his newest born. Randle also said Jalen Brunson is one of the best teammates he's ever had, and he's been impressed with him as a leader. He jokingly said he was annoying to play against, but he's been surprised at the number of ways he's been able to impact the Knicks. Good stuff. Good stuff. Andrew Palladino, thank you for the comment. 2 in a row feels nice after the last week. Damn right it does. Starting off the year right. Flying to New York tonight for my first MSG game on Wednesday versus the Spurs. Do you think RJ plays? First of all, have a great time. Enjoy New York. Trying to think if I have any recommendations about where you should go. I have 100 recommendations about where you should go, but, like, I don't know where you're staying or whatever. Get some pizza. I don't know where you're flying in from, but wherever you're flying in from, make sure you get some pizza before you leave. And not like Sbarro's pizza, real pizza. Do I think RJ plays? My gut feeling is no. Just because, like, although, and me and Jeremy talked about this a little bit on today's pod. Shout out to our new sponsor, Weiss and Rosenblum, sponsoring our personal injury segment. RJ's personal injury, as it were, is unique to me because it's not like, for instance, to contrast it to Brunson, where Brunson's, like, going out there and he's testing his hip, right? He's, like, testing how it feels, how it moves, how he responds, this and that. I feel like with RJ, it might just be a thing of, like, you look at the thing, is it healed? And if it's healed, he'll play. If it's not healed. So the reason I go through that thought process is, like, the fact that he was not listed, let's say, as questionable today. I don't think we should take that to mean he's definitely going to be out for Wednesday. That said, if I was a betting man right now, I would bet that probably no. But who knows? We'll see. I hope I'm wrong. Requiem Gaming, the Remnant. What's up, Alex? Don't have much to say today, but the ball really moves better with Quickly and Grimes on the floor. Just a fun win. I can't wait to see our updated defensive rating. Yeah, we'll get it up here as soon as it is updated. I mean, 2 straight games holding opponents under 90 points. Like, again, the way the NBA is right now, I don't care who they're playing. I don't care who's out. That's impressive. It's impressive, and it's not all due to missed shots. It's not all due to, bad luck for the team they're playing. The stretch in regards to the ball movement, the stretch that they had from, I guess, the 21-0 run, right? But really, even before that, honestly, from, like, it felt like 4 or so minutes to get going in this game. After the first 4 minutes from that mark until when there was about 4 minutes left in the second quarter, so a span of about 14 minutes, their ball movement, just so many times where I felt like I would be watching someone that had the ball, and I'm like, okay, you can take that shot. That's a justifiable shot. And, like, that's 95% of the time. I feel like the Knicks, the first time they get a justifiable shot, and like, or I shouldn't say justifiable shot, a decent shot, they'll take it. There was the next pass, and then sometimes the next pass after that, and then it would go from like a decent shot to a good shot to a great shot, and a shot that you're not going to miss. Whether it ended up in Mitch's hands under the basket or a more wide open 3-pointer or whatever the case may be. And that's just a great sign of unselfishness. And it's a sign of talent as well. You know, I was reading somebody's tweets or replies or retweets or something talking about the Celtics and how the Celtics have assembled this team full of guys who it's not like, you know, wings and guards, all of whom can put the ball on the floor. Like you can't, you know, just because you run them off the line doesn't mean you've ended the play. Like they could always make the next play, the next pass, and all that stuff. And like the Knicks kind of have a good amount of those guys. I feel really good about the guys they do have. Like we don't think of Julius Randle in that way, but like Julius Randle is one of those guys. Like you can't. I mean, he can keep the ball moving. You know, obviously Brunson, RJ, Grimes, quickly. Fournier. I don't know if Fournier is going to still be part of the rotation, but you know, we'll see. And if they could get Obi back, that's another guy who I think fits right into that sort of mentality. They have a lot of these sorts of guys. Now, and that's, by the way, since they've gone with this basic rotation and this basic this starting lineup for sure, again, this is a top 3 offense. It might fall a little bit after today, but at the very least, a top 5 offense with this group of guys. When you're talking about a team in this sort of league that does not have a superstar and they have that offensive rating, I think that is a testament to how many guys they have on this roster who just they move the ball and they make the next play. You can say a lot of shit about the Knicks this year that is not kind. Something I don't know that you can say is that they take a lot of bad shots. They really don't. They really do not take a lot of bad shots, and that's a credit. I'll say it to the coaching staff, but also to the players. So good way to generate that conversation, Alex. Appreciate it. Kevin Danishevsky, what's going on, Kev? Julius Randle is Julius Randle. Can I get his name right? Is a monster right now. So fun to watch Grimes also, especially versus Bridges and really outplaying his competition. Wonder if he gets on the 25 under 25 lists. I don't think Grimes would get there yet. Maybe in a year. It's tough to make those lists when you're not one of the top 3 usage guys on your own team, I feel like. You know, then again, like, you know, what I forget what he take 12 threes the other night or 14 threes or some crazy number. Tonight Quentin Grimes he only took 6 threes tonight. Like I want to see. Here's how Quentin Grimes gets on that list. He's like top 5 in the league in 3-point attempts. That's how he gets on a list like that. And I think he could do it. Like, I don't see any reason why he shouldn't be taking at least 8 threes a game, especially if he's going to play these sorts of minutes. I think his rookie year, his 3-point attempts per 36 minutes was over 8, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure you have that number handy, Kevin. But he took a lot. And now if he's going to be playing close to 36 minutes a night, well, you know, yeah, I love Quentin Grimes. Can't say enough about him. Matt Smith, what's going on, Matt? Thank you for the very generous contribution. To be very clear, I do not want to trade Randle. I'm glad you said that. But how did I know there was a buck coming? As a discussion thought exercise, what do you think the trade value would be? I guess teams would have to consider if he could be a winning player as a clearer number 2 or number 3. I don't think. Well, all right, I got a comp for you. It's not a perfect comp, but it's a comp. Not as players, but as far as return. DeJounte Murray this summer. DeJounte Murray was traded for salary flotsam, being kind to Danilo Gallinari, unkind to Danilo Gallinari, but whatever. Like, he ended up getting waived. And I believe it was 2 future unprotected picks that were, Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong. I forget if it was like 25 and 27 or 26 and 28 and whatever. What, out there a little bit with a swap in between. And then I believe one other protected. Oh, that of course. How could I forget the Cam Reddish, the Charlotte pick that went to Atlanta in the Cam deal. So a protected pick that maybe he's going to convey as a first rounder that's going to be like outside the lottery. Maybe it ends up conveying as 2 seconds, but whatever. It's a thing. And then 2 future unprotected firsts and a swap and salary. DeJounte Murray made the All-Star team last year. Is a guy who I think probably if he came into this year, I don't know where he placed exactly on the league rankings, but, he's a top 40, top 35-ish player. Thank you, Andrew. 2026 swap with 25 and 27 as the unprotected firsts. But whatever, like DeJounte Murray, he's like, I don't think he's going to ever make an All-Star team again. And there was also, for as great as he is on the defensive end of the floor, there were at least questions about, okay, how would he fit with our superstar in Trae Young? Would his shooting issues, which Murray has improved in that area over the years, like, would they be an issue? Would it be a fit issue in general? Like, there were questions, right? And yet he still got that return from Atlanta. Now, could you argue that Atlanta overpaid? Yeah, you could argue that Atlanta overpaid. I wasn't a huge fan of that deal from the Hawks' perspective. But I think if you're looking at that return, now I think the league, even with as well as Randle is playing right now, I think the league would probably, most GMs, if you ask them, would you rather have DeJounte Murray or Julius Randle? I would guess most of them would say DeJounte Murray. But like something like that, where maybe you don't get the protected pick, and maybe one of the 2 picks that you're coming or that are coming from the team you're trading him to, has like top 4 protections or something. Like that. Maybe you get a flyer on a young player in the deal, but not like a high pedigree young player. Like that's the sort of return I think you'd get, but God knows I'm the last person who should be talking about Julius Randle trade valuations, because I've just been very, very, very wrong. And it seems like anytime I talk about that, but that's my best guess if you're asking the question. So thanks, Matt. That was a good question. Brian Less, what's going on, Brian? I'll say it. Randle for most improved player. Andrew, put the bet down, Andrew. Pay for I don't know what you could pay for. Pay for the seafood station at cocktail hour for your wedding. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know if that would be something. If he was even in the conversation, that would be funny. That'd be funny. We'll see. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate that. Jeremy Chase, what's going on, Jeremy? Honeymoon fund. There you go. I just won $1 billion on my bet that Julius gets unironic MVP chance at MSG this year. Hashtag we back to back. Hashtag win bet, eat your heart out. Thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate that. I tell you again, this is how crazy this is. I had a legitimate thought in the first quarter watching today where I was like, do I need to go look up like who's likely to be all NBA forwards this year? Like, do I need to start that thought process? And again, we're not even at All-Star yet, right? We're not even at All-Star yet. He's not, I do not think he is a guaranteed All-Star. Let me just make that very clear. He's getting close. I don't think he's there yet. So, but I'm also recalling, even as late as this, maybe not quite as late as this, but close to as late as this. So maybe around the 33, 35 game mark of the We Here season, his All-Star credentials, even then, were not guaranteed. Now, by the time we got to when the reserves were announced, I think we all felt pretty safe he was going to get in, or at the very least that it would be egregious if he didn't get in. And then that ended up going all the way to All-NBA second team. So, like, the notion that there should be a ceiling on where his accolades end up this year, I'm not going to put a ceiling on, because we've seen him do it before. One, and two, and this is an important part, and I think it should be factored into the All-Star discussion. The dude doesn't miss a fucking game ever. Say you could be the biggest Julius Randle hater in the world, and again, it's not that there weren't times in the last year and change where we're like, man, can you take a night off? But like, give him credit. He suits up every night, and he goes out there and he's playing hard. He's playing really hard. So that's cool. Thanks, Jeremy. Sam L. What's going on, Sam? Happy New Year's, KFS. Thanks for another year of great content and analysis. Said it before, and I'll say it again. Don't overreact to early season swings. I've been trying not to. That's why I was very happy that Andrew Claudio was pre-scheduled to take the slings and arrows of the Spurs postgame, because it would have been rough for me to get up there and be like, let's all relax. Like, they're missing their two of their three best players. Let's relax. And again, you saw tonight, the Suns were missing their best player in Devin Booker. God, how valuable is he? And they've been missing Cam Johnson for most of the year. And Cam Johnson is Cam Johnson's their fifth most important player, but like, he's a big part of what they do. But really, it's Booker. They're missing one of their top guys, and they got smoked today. The Knicks were missing two of their top three guys, for this little stretch here. And like, we could sit here and we could talk about the Dallas game, and we could talk about the Spurs game, and then they won the Rockets game. So like, this is a good team. This is a good team. They're a good basketball team if they stay healthy. Thanks, Sam. Busy, what's going on, Busy? Busy has been turning over a new leaf of late. Let me see if it continues here. Do the Suns suck this bad? I'll go get back to that in a second. I want to watch their next few games to double check the validity of this win. LOL. What do we give credit for Randle's play this year? I give the majority of credit to him. Hashtag to Brunson. The credit has to go to Julius Randle. I don't know. Maybe he did, and we don't know it. But he could have pitched the Knicks' hand, I'm guessing, if he wanted to get out of town. And he wanted to stick it out. I think that's real. I do think he likes it here. And he wanted to make it work. And he did what he needed to do below the neck. He did what he needed to do above the neck. But for as much credit as I'm giving Randle, I don't know if Jalen Brunson gets 15% of the credit, or 20% of the credit, or 25% of the credit, or maybe even a little more. You have to give Jalen Brunson some of the credit. And by extension, you have to give the front office credit, because the front office, one, didn't trade him. Listening to people like me, good job by them. And two, they went out and got Jalen Brunson, and they kept Julius Randle after they got Jalen Brunson. That's the key. They had faith that this pairing would work, and I feel comfortable. I feel very comfortable sitting here saying, after 38 games, the pairing works. Those two guys work. Are they going to be the best two players on a championship team? No, but they work. Now, as far as do the Suns suck this bad, I'm not sure when exactly to go. What did Mitchell Robinson tweet out? F what y'all talking about. I got a no-look dime. Man, Mitchell Robinson's a funny man. So Phoenix without Booker is not the same team. I think it is fair and reasonable to say that if you took Devin Booker off of the Phoenix Suns for the entire season, I think they're probably a borderline playoff team with how Chris Paul has played this year. Because like, then you're talking about a team whose best two player. I mean, I don't know how much I should diminish Chris Paul, but he's not been great this year. So like, who's their best player? Is it DeAndre Ayton? Is it Mikal Bridges? Is it Chris Paul? Like, I think they're a borderline playoff team in that case, and I don't love their depth. It's not terrible depth, but I don't love their depth. They didn't love their depth when they had Booker. Take Booker off, and you slot all these guys up, and with this version of Paul, it's rough. So yeah, Phoenix, they were 16-8, and they're 20-18. So they are 4-10 in their last bunch of games. Excuse me, 4-11. 4-11. They were 16-7. So not great, but they'll be okay when they get Booker back. Okay, my favorite part of the show. Updated stats. The Knicks are still 10th in offense. How you doing? Up to 8th in defense. They were 26th after the Mavs game. They're 8th. And 8th in net rating, 0.1 points per 100 possessions behind the Phoenix Suns for 7th. Wow. Top quarter of the league in net rating. I wish they would have held the 30-point lead, because then they would have been probably tied with Phoenix. Oh, well. Pretty good. Pretty good basketball team. It's great to say that and not feel like you're being ridiculous and over the top. It feels good to be able to sit here and say with a straight face, it's a good basketball team. Dom Cappuccini, what's going on, Dom? I was in. Good to see you, as always. I was in full agreement with you on getting rid of Randle or getting Randle out of here. When it didn't look possible, I tried to keep a sliver of hope. Please pass me on that crow leg, John. Yeah, I'll have a crow legs. Probably, what are they? Probably crow legs are probably the size of like the leg of a Cornish game hen or something like, probably even smaller than that. Maybe like a frog's leg. Frog's legs are good. I'm a big fan of frog's legs. Got to be cooked well, though. I don't know how we got on that. Parrish Duggar, what's going on, Parrish? Suns shorthanded, I guess, but RJ and Obi are out. Yeah, RJ being out certainly helps. Man, again, the lineup, they look good with Quickly in there. This team is better when RJ Barrett is healthy, and this team is better when RJ Barrett plays 30 minutes a night, or maybe even a little bit more. I do wonder about if there should be even more staggering going on than is currently, or different staggering. You know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But they need RJ. And Obi too. I'm looking forward to Obi getting back. SB Gorilla, thank you so much again for the other night and for this very generous contribution. Truly. Damian here. It's so bittersweet. I love Obi, but if Julius Randle is playing like this, how do you keep Obi? Obi needs to spread his wings and fly. Trading Julius Randle would be senseless. Well, don't say it's senseless until you know the offer, right? But I get what you're saying. What do we do, John? Just continue to give Obi 17 minutes a night? I don't. So 17 minutes a night, that means. So Randle, from now until the end of the season, if he's playing like this, my guess is you are going to see him average 34 minutes a night, 35. So that's 13 or 14 for Obi, give or take. So you're basically counting on another 3 or 4 minutes a game, and plus he'll play more, and if there's blowouts one way or the other. So yeah, you might get the average to 17. Okay. Man. Look, it's like anything else. Like, what are you getting for him if you trade him? What are you getting? Where's the trade? Where's the trade? Where's the team that wants to give up a real thing? Jeremy begrudgingly brought up the possibility, not that he was advocating for it. He was not advocating for it, but he brought up the possibility of a something centered around a Duarte swap with Indiana, where the Knicks would also be getting some kind of draft asset back from the Pacers. Like, on its face, it's certainly not ridiculous. But this is a player who is still a year and a half away from restricted free agency. So I think the Knicks have the luxury of continuing to be somewhat greedy in terms of what they would ask for Obi Toppin. And I'm not trying to push Obi Toppin out of town quite yet. Not until I see what happens this summer, at least, because who knows what this roster is going to look like next year. So they got time. Thanks, SB. Sorry if that was like a chicken shit answer. It's the best I got right now, though. Mo So, what's going on, Mo? Hey, KFS, first time super chat. Welcome aboard. Thank you for the contribution. Love having you. With Julius playing like an all-star, I doubt this front office trades him. With that being said, what are your thoughts on this trade? My goodness gracious, I'm reading minds here. Obi for Duarte and the Cavs first round pick. Andrew's just reminding me the episode that we recorded last night in which Jeremy brings up the fake Duarte trade isn't airing until what, tomorrow? I don't know. It hasn't aired yet. So oops, bad job by me. We got a free sneak preview. Sorry, Jeremy. Yes. Tomorrow. Okay, so stay tuned for that. So yeah, I mean, I've already said it, so I'll continue to spoil it a little bit. Jeremy talks about something of this nature. Again, on paper, it's not insane, and they have the Cavs first round pick, but they also have the Celtics first round pick. So there could be some creativity going in either direction, where it's like, do the Knicks try to hold out for, we want the better of those two picks, or would the Pacers hold out for like, no, we're giving you the worst of those two picks, or I suppose the worst of the three picks, because they have their own first round pick too. Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, on paper, it's not nuts. My honest thought though is like, I'm not 1,000% sure the Pacers would give Duarte and a first round pick to get Obi. They would have to really love Obi Toppin, and they would have to really believe in Obi Toppin's ability to be a part of their future. Not that I think that that's nuts. I don't think that that's nuts at all. But you never know. We'll see. Thanks, Mo. Dom the dentist. What's going on, Dom? Great to hear from you. Happy New Year, John. Random question. Who's your favorite celebrity Knicks fan? I think mine is, you said it. Mine is Ben Stiller, but I also really like Rob Perez. Stiller is certainly up there. Steve Shrippa, big Sopranos guy. I've never watched. I think he was on Blue Bloods, right? Never watched Blue Bloods, but I know he's on that show as well, or one of those cop shows he was on. But I'll go Ben Stiller just because from like he seems like a cool dude, and like from what I could tell about how he tweets about the Knicks, like he seems like he's a real, like, quote unquote real fan. I don't know that I have another. I don't know that I have another one. I know there's a lot of celebrity Knicks fans I don't like, but I'm not going to talk about them. Good question, Dom. Appreciate that one. Happy New Year to you too. Hush Sue, what's going on, Hush? I really love beating the brakes off the Suns. That team just disgusts me. Why do they disgust you? I don't care for the Suns, but they don't disgust me. Mikal Bridges taunting our bench down 30 was just shameless. Undefeated in 2023. Yeah, Mikal is not. He's a he's a good player. Not sure what he was doing there, but yeah, he's a good player. I wish Mikal Bridges was on the Knicks. I'll just say that. By the way, this per Fred Katz. Tom Thibodeau said Derrick Rose took a hit in the Houston game in the knee, and then it flared up before the game today, which is why Rose was ruled out. I do just want to say real quick, I like, for as long as RJ is out, I like the look with Fournier getting those backup minutes over Rose. I feel bad saying that, but like, I think Fournier is just better fit, and he's a better player right now. It's wild. Sean Ford, what's going on, Short? Happy New Year, John. Great win. Hypothetically, OBN Mitch for Miles Turner. Oh my goodness gracious. I know, but I feel like Miles would fit with Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson like a glove. I've gone back and forth on Miles. Hold on, I'm gonna get back to this, Andrew. I've gone back and forth on Miles because, like, in theory, Miles Turner is like, yeah, he's a perfect player for any team. He's the unicorn, right? He's the stretch five who really protects the rim. And yet we're however many years into we are for Miles Turner's career, and it's like it's not about, are we sure he's good? He's good. He's a good player. But, like, is he a guy that you want to be paying $20+ million a year to for the next however many years? I don't, and he's gonna get that money, like, so I don't know. I wouldn't do that. I would say no to that. That's not, and again, I have my issues with Mitch. I continue to have my issues with Mitch because he's like, because of games like the Spurs game where they really needed the best of Mitchell Robinson, and he wasn't really there. Then again, the entire team wasn't really there. So, like, how much should I really blame Mitchell Robinson for that? Probably it's unfair. And by and large, with the exception of a handful of games this season, he has been consistent, and he has been dominant, and he has been worth his contract. And his contract pays him an average annual value of $15 million a year. Now, is $5 or $6 or $7 million a year worth it? Not if you're getting an appreciably better player. But there are things that Mitchell Robinson is just better at than Miles Turner. And so, and I'm giving up, what we topping too? I don't know about that. I'd probably say no. Boston Nick, what's going on, Boston? Great to hear from you. Ever since Dolan went to get Julius Randle's autograph, it was hard to see him get traded. It's a good call. Juju might even get the H2O, LJ, or Spree treatment in time. Well, so those guys. Andrew sent me a picture of Hugh Jackman with a Knicks hat on. I don't consider, like, is Hugh Jackman, like, at every game or almost every game? Is he tweeting about the Knicks? Does he really love the Knicks? If he is, then that's my answer. Anyway, shout out Hugh Jackman. So Allen Houston, Larry Johnson, Latrell Sprewell all made the NBA Finals. They all had memorable, very, 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 very memorable playoff moments. I believe. Well, no. Houston was in my top 10 Knicks ever. Spree, I think I might have had. He was in the top 15. I think I might have had him outside the top 12 when I did the list last year. And Larry Johnson, I sure as hell hope I had Larry Johnson in the top 25. I don't know that I had him in the top 20, but I pretty sure I had him in the top 25. I'll go check that. Big time Knicks. Big time Knicks in the history of the franchise. That said, Julius is moving up the ranks in terms of points, rebounds. I mean, that's assists, games played, minutes played. Doesn't have the one important thing on his resume that you need to be an all-timer with this franchise. And you got to have some sort of playoff success. Now, what is that playoff success that's going to get him into that? I know that's not what you're referring to. You're referring to just kind of like being back in the good graces after maybe there was an issue, or at least there wasn't Spree's case. But, like a guy the franchise leans on long past their retirement to be like a representative of the team. I get that's what you're going for. I don't know. All the guys that play that role, they had really big playoff moments. They do. All of them. I don't know. We'll see. It's a good one. I'm going to think about that one, Boston. Thanks. Rowan Beckford Sr., what's going on, Rowan? Hey, John. Fournier's defense with some big wide eye emojis. I said it a lot over the course of the time that he's here. I think if he's your worst defender on the floor and you surround him with good defenders, you'll be able to survive those minutes, and he won't kill you. That was not the case earlier this year, but then again, he wasn't surrounded by good defenders earlier this year because you had Randle playing like he was, you had RJ playing like he was, you had Brunson playing not so great on defense. So, like, it was not an ideal situation. Now, if you surround Evan Fournier with a Deuce McBride and an Emmanuel Quickley, and I don't know about Isaiah Hartenstein, but like Jericho Sims can hold his own, like that's a more feasible situation for him. I bet he still gets traded. I bet they find a taker for him. Call it a gut feeling. But he looked good today. Doozer55, Randle is going nowhere. # All-Star, KFS are champs. Oh, thank you. I agree. I don't think Randle's going anywhere either. Rowan Beckford Sr. with another one. John, autocorrect. Happy New Year. It's all good, man. Thank you so much, Rowan. Appreciate you always chiming in and contributing to these things. It means a lot. Robert Cross, he's back. I got wrapped up with some doing double duty. That's why I think I missed your last few DMs. Good to have you back. Let's see what we got. First time, long time, John. Are we still looking to trade Emmanuel Quickley? I'll hang up and listen. # 53 wins. You know the answer to that, man. You know the answer to that. As I'm staring up at whatever's on, I don't know what this program, the Better Half, or the Better Half Hour is on MSG right now. Looking at NBA MVP odds, 5 guys plus 1,200 or better. What a race this is going to be. Maybe Emmanuel Quickley still has time to get in the MVP race, Robert. You never know. No, they're not going to trade him. I'd be very surprised if they did. I'll say that. Jason Feldman, what's going on, Jason? John, is the Deuce loose? I'll hang up and listen. I know Deuce made at least 1 3 today. I don't think he made a second. Of course, I lost my box score. So the biggest, maybe not the biggest question mark for me between now and the trade deadline, but it's right up there. Deuce was 1 of 2. He took 2 threes. He made 1. Okay. Those are the only shots he took. A big question for me is if they get an opportunity to upgrade the roster with a very, very clear, like, this guy is going to make us better sort of player, like something akin to the Derrick Rose trade from 2 years ago. If they get the opportunity to make such an upgrade, and it doesn't cost them an asset that they really mind giving up, and maybe they even unload some salary in the deal, do they make the deal if it means that Deuce is essentially out of the rotation? And I think it's a very, very interesting question for where this organization is at right now. You could argue that it is the smart move, that it's the right move, and you could argue that for where they're at, it would be absolutely the wrong move. I think it kind of depends on your personal viewpoint of, like, is there ever a time to make a win now upgrade at the expense of a young, interesting player's playing time? And I do think Deuce is still a young, interesting player. Like, I know his offense is in rough shape right now, but the dude brings an A+ NBA skill, and that's point of attack defense. He's a little small, but still. No, I think there's an argument that you don't do that. If you're not a contender and the Knicks are not a contender, you don't do that. But we'll see. Thanks, Jason. Andrew with another one. At what point do we decide between Randle and Obi? A lot of Randle Obi stuff today, man. Not right now. I don't think you have to do it this season. Wait till the summer. A lot of trades get made. A lot of possibilities open up in the summer. Who knows? Like, let's say Obi's out through the trade deadline, and I have a funny feeling he will be. If he's out through the trade deadline, like, and he comes back, and he looks good for you, and he has a nice end to the year, even if it's only in 15 or 16 or 17 minutes a game, then that's another chip, at the very least, for the summer ahead. Or, who knows, maybe you wind up trading Randle for superstar X this summer, and you're left with a hole at the starting power forward spot. Maybe that happens. Like, lots of shit happens. So don't rush it unless the deal is the right deal for you. Thanks. Hushu with another one. Not moved on Randle. Glad he's getting his value back up, but the month and a half of good play doesn't move me. Do this until April and the playoffs, and then hashtag trade 30. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's still some people out there like that. I'm enjoying it. I'm embracing it. I do think you have to, like, this isn't Cam Reddish having a 2 or 3 week stretch where, like, oh, Cam Reddish looks like an NBA player. Cam Reddish looks like he could be a contributing wing to a good team. No, this is Julius Randle. I mean, Jesus, the last few weeks, talking about playing at an all NBA level. So this is really good basketball he's playing. So, I'm not saying don't dismiss it as far as like whether it's going to be sustainable for the next year or 2 years or 3 years, but don't be so quick to poo-poo what is happening in front of our eyes right now. That's all I'll say. Thanks, Hush. James Pascal, what's going on, man? Crazy to see how even after the way he's been playing, that fans still want to trade Julius. Perfect timing for this comment. And not just enjoy and love how great he's been so far this season, especially during this month-long stretch. I do want to pull up, and I should be able to successfully filibuster the comments as I pull up what I want to pull up. But like Julius Randle, as far as league-wide advanced stats and stuff, I've cited them a couple times, I think, in the newsletter over the last month. I may have mentioned them on 1 or 2 of these post games. Really, 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 really impressive company. So right now, just to give you the 3 that Basketball Reference uses. See, I filibustered. Win shares. Julius Randle, and this is before today's game, 13th in win shares, according to Basketball Reference. And that is a combination of offensive win shares and defensive win shares. He is 15th in offensive win shares, 16th in defensive win shares. So if you want to question that metric a little bit, that anything that says that, Julius Randle is the 16th best defensive anything, that's fair. That said, win shares is a statistic that like is used and is considered a lot and is trusted. Not perfect. Domantas Sabonis is 3rd in win shares, but like the other names on that list: Luka, Jokic, Durant, Halliburton, Tatum, SGA, Anthony Davis, Lauri Markkanen, Embiid, Donovan Mitchell, DeMar DeRozan. Those are the guys that are ahead of Julius Randle. It's an impressive list. Box plus minus, Julius Randle is 20th in box plus minus. All the guys ahead of him are either like regular all-stars or they're going to be all-stars this year. Literally everyone ahead of him is going to be an all-star this year. That's a good statistic. And then value over replacement player, Julius Randle, also 13th in the entire league. So 2 advanced stats, he's 13th, and 1 advanced stat, he's 20th. There are 24 players that make the all-star team, 12 from each conference. The only Eastern Conference players who have a higher value over replacement player than Julius Randle are Tyrese Halliburton, Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum. That's it. He's ahead of guys like Jimmy Butler, Pascal Siakam, and any other names that you want to think of. It's impressive stuff from Julius. Parrish Duggar, we still have upside with Fournier and Obi to draw from. So Parrish wants to make the trade. Okay. Or maybe he wants to keep them and factor them into the rotation. I don't know. That's a fascinating question. Do they ever go back to a 10-man rotation? I think the answer is a pretty easy no. I think Tibbs has shown throughout the years that he likes a 9-man. I think he's justified in liking a 9-man. I think most coaches like a 9-man or less, But, at least Fournier is reminding you we could play valuable minutes for an NBA team that's trying to win games, So that's good. Thanks, Parrish. Vas Kalo. First time, long time. Thanks for joining. Beating the teams we need to beat. Knicks Nation, chill out. This is a 500 ball. This is 500 ball. Oh, okay. Hashtag 53 wins. Again, I know they're only 2 games over. Those advanced numbers speak loudly to me. That's all I'll say. This is a good team. They're better than a 500 team. Ahmad Khalil, what's going on, Ahmad? On Julius, we just need to gloat. A bit. I told you so. Good job by you. Would be crazy to trade him. Sign Kyrie in the offseason and we're a legit contender. Oh my God. Lord help me. I will politely say thanks, but no thanks. Also, they're not going to have any cap space this summer. So sorry, you're not getting that wish. Good job on Julius, though. Equals peace. Thank you for the generous contribution. This is absolutely the time to sell high on Randle. Okay. Seeing him get down after the foul call towards the end of the second and fire up 4 consecutive bad shots is the stuff that will kill you when it matters. I'm not going to kill this comment because the questions about how he is going to react under pressure in high intensity situations against really good teams, how he is going to respond to adversity in those situations is absolutely valid. Him getting down after a foul call, he's just a demonstrative guy and he gets in his feelings and he wears his emotions on his sleeve. I think it's okay to do that if you don't let it fester in and come out in how you're playing. I think he's gotten better at that this year. And maybe there's still room to improve. At the end of the day, do I think if this Knicks become a contender, will they end up trading Julius Randle? Yes, I do. I'm not thinking about it right now. I'm not looking to trade him right now. I'm looking to just continue enjoying the season for what it is because I don't think they're getting the trade that would make them think about it. So it's a moot point. All right. But thank you for the comment and the contribution. Soggy Buns. Okay. That's great. Soggy Buns 65. I think Randall's future depends on next year. I mean, if he's here, we'll see. If he has another clunker in 23-24, like 21-22, then not knowing what you have year in and year out for one of your core pieces is very dicey. The pushback on that is with Brunson, because there is a absolutely valid sentiment, if anybody has it, that goes like this. This was a guy who was in a great situation, and we saw what he was in when he was in a great situation, when the offense ran through him and he had a clear headspace and the whole thing. And then we saw the absolute worst of him when everything went wrong, and he started the year off with a bad mentality, and maybe there was some stuff going on behind the scenes off the court that we don't know for sure, but whatever. This is what he is when he has a real point guard next to him or just a co-pilot. And there's no reason to believe that this is going to stop as long as he has that co-pilot. And from that perspective, I don't, you could, that said, again, a lot of things are going to happen. They're going to continue to be in the market for a star player, a real star, like a superstar player. Who knows who goes out in that trade? Thanks, Soggy Bones. Robert Cross with another one. First time, long time, John. Do you see Obi re-emerging strong later this year? His future seems very much up in the air. Hashtag 53 wins. I don't know. I mean, it was so great seeing him make threes early in the year. And then when he started missing threes and he was like a zero, like a non-entity on the court when his threes stopped falling, you were reminded oh, yeah, this is a player the Knicks are wildly misusing. And part of that's the roster and part of that's the plays that they do or don't call for him. I don't know. I hope so. I mean, I hope so. I don't know. I really don't know. I have my doubts, but I also have faith and hope. Requiem Gaming with another one. Thank you, Alex. If Tibbs can play Sims at the 4, why not Obi at the 3? Again, that gets us back to a 10-man rotation, right? I don't think you're going to see it. Not crazy. Don't think you're going to see it. Would be surprised. And you could also argue that Sims is better defending the perimeter than Obi. Handy M, what's going on, Handy? At the game now, MVP chance for Randle. I hope you had fun. My son and I were shocked. Randle has really won over the fans, including myself. Good for him. Is Grimes getting better as a passer, or is it just me? It is not just you at all. Good excuse to pull up another stat that I very much enjoy pulling up, which is Quentin Grimes' passing numbers, which you have to judge not on assists per game, and actually even assists per 36 minutes are not like the best thing to judge anybody at it as a passer by. That said, he was at 2 assists per 36 minutes last season. He's at 2.6 assists per 36 minutes this season. So, like, doesn't sound like a big jump, but it is a jump of 30%. So that's something. That's pretty good. I think he just makes the right play, and he makes the next play, and that's what's important. And also the team is just performing much better on offense, especially, and defense when he's on the court. So that's a good sign. Thanks, Andy. Guy Huber then. What's going on, Guy Huber? Here's an angle. This has been floated before, and I don't think it's nuts. Do you think not having Obi around kind of is making things more difficult in terms of the fan noise and such, and the narrative surrounding that, that it lets Randle play loose? So basically, is Obi not being here making Randle, is it easier for him to play kind of free and easy? For me to be like, absolutely not. That's a preposterous theory. That'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. This is a guy who has not always been the most emotionally stable basketball player. And to just know that, like, he's not good, the guy behind him isn't going to be, he's not hearing a chance for the guy behind him to come in the game. I don't know. I guess we'll get our answer when Obi comes back, right? We'll see. Thanks, Goober. Appreciate that. Always generous with your comments and contributions. Dom Cappuccini with another one. Is it safe to say that a 3-game losing streak might be the longest losing streak the rest of the season, and it won't be often? Hashtag we back. No, I never like to do that because, like, injuries and, like, crazy shit happens. Like, do I think that they will be at least a 500 team for the rest of the year? Yeah, I think that. Barring an important injury. But I mean, just one game at a, as Thibodeau says, one game at a time. Keep going out, keep executing. That's all they're doing. If the wins come, great. If you don't, okay. You played well. You executed. And you followed the game plan. That's what matters. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate that. Jessica with one more. Nothing else explains the Brunson, Ihart, Sims, Deuce, Fournier lineup. Hashtag Stoner Tibbs. Hashtag 53 Gummies. Hashtag Blazed Tibbs. Hashtag High with Randle. That was a good string of hash marks. Shout out to us and Fred Katz for suggesting this weeks ago. What, that Andrew, you got to come on for this one. What, that Tom Thibodeau is high?
Well, no, because I texted this a while ago. We suggested that, well, more from Fred, that Julius is playing like this because no one's yelling for his backup anymore.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you were
that's all.
Referencing this.
Yeah, that's all. We're almost done, by the way.
So stick around. Is Tibbs high? No, I don't think Tibbs is high. Look, I think he's making the best of the situation. He feels comfortable. He feels more comfortable with the double big lineup than he does anything else with Obi out. And the rest of it is, I mean, I don't have an issue with Brunson, Deuce, and Fournier together. I kind of, it's fine. I think it's okay. He may be getting high as an aside. But yeah,
What would Tibbs High even look like or
I
sound
don't,
like?
I don't know. I'm not someone who partakes, so
Hey. So it's Fat Albert is where I went.
I was about to say.
I was doing the last line of next episode, but it came out as Fat Albert.
Oh
Smoke weed
man,
every day. Are we allowed to say that on YouTube?
I don't.
Well, we said
Sure.
it, so well.
We said it. There we go. Thank you, Jessica.
Hold on. And 2 more.
Okay. Mythic Monty, what's going on, Mythic Monty? I don't think trading Obi is a good idea unless they upgrade the backup power forward spot. The 2 center lineup does not have a good net rating or spacing. It doesn't have a good net rating. That's true. I don't want to talk about the 2 big lineup. It's not something that is a long-term thing. So, like, yes, if you trade Obi Toppin, you got to get a guy back who you feel comfortable putting at the 4. And it seems like the Carmelo Anthony ship never got out of the dock. It seems like but the Carmelo Anthony ship might be like dry docked. I think it's like in the thing that they keep the boats where it's not even in the water.
What was it? Bondi asked Chris Paul about Carmelo.
Really?
Yeah. So I have it here from Steph Bondi. Asked Chris Paul if he's surprised Carmelo Anthony hasn't signed with an NBA team. And the quote is somebody of that caliber, with that ability, with the heart that he has, and the stuff he's done for the game, he should be able to walk off the court when he's ready.
Interesting. So why doesn't he go petition for his front office to sign him?
So I got to be honest, that's my answer. I'm not 100% sure Melo wants to play. Like, I'm sure if he like we saw the media tour when he went on First Take and like wrote a book and it was like, hey, I'd like to play again, you know? And
I think he would play under the right circumstances.
Right. So like if the Nets, which I got to be honest, I think the Nets, if they were to come calling, he'd sign in a heartbeat because that's a path to playoff minutes. It's path to a ring potentially.
Can I be honest with you? You know, I'm not a Melo as big a Melo guy as most. That would hurt my soul.
It would, me too. But I'm trying to take my soul out of it and try to think of options here. The point being that I don't know. I follow him on Instagram. He's like at all of Kean's games. Like his son is like a basketball prospect at this point. His son played against Bronny James a couple weeks ago in one of those leagues, and that's like the joy of being a dad is getting to watch your kids like play sports at times, especially at the age that they're playing. So maybe like that's why a lot of people are trying to make sense why LeBron and like what the Lakers are gonna do and like would he leave? Wait, why did he sign the extensions? Like I think he's at that point in his life where he wants to be close to his kids. Like I think that's the point.
Yeah, but he also made the comments recently about like I'm not,
that is where I think he tried to put pressure on the front office. But I think he signed the extension to be like, I want to at least be here until Bronny graduates high school. So
we'll find out. Thanks, Mythic. Yeah, that's a good call. They would need a replacement, which further is like they're not trading Obi Toppin this year. Sam Garcia's dad. What's going on to Sam Garcia's dad and the whole Garcia family? Sorry to have been AWOL from KFS recently. You don't need to apologize for that. You come in, you go as you please. You don't even have to take off your shoes. But the entire Garcia fam wants to wish you, GMAC, and the rest of the KFS crew a happy new year. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So I want to do the same, and I'm looking at the hat. Okay, yes, I am correct. So I also, no, those are Knicks hats. Never mind. Now that I'm zooming in, Sam goes to Ohio State, who suffered one of the more devastating losses in the college football playoff the other day, where they blew a late lead against Georgia, and the kick that would have won the game and sent Ohio State to the national championship game next Monday. Not only did it land so far wide left that it like didn't have a chance, but it happened as the clock stroked midnight. So the greatest joke ever is that ball was kicked so far it landed in 2023.
That's pretty funny.
So I know I meant this as empathy and as an apology to you, but that joke is great. But I know bad sports heartbreak than as much as anybody. So apologies to the Garcia clan and obviously to Sam. What happened?
You're full Beningo, right?
Yes, full Beningo. But I not as entertaining with my rants, but it's because I try to think rationally at times. He would like Rex Ryan to be the Jets head coach next year.
Does he really want that?
So his order is Sean Payton, which like that's rational, to be honest. If you can get Sean Payton within reason. And then if Sean Payton doesn't want to come here, get Rex Ryan.
I thought everybody liked the coach.
I did, and then they went 1-6 after the bye. But
yeah, but that's because of the quarterback play.
And how much we put that on the coach? Now, my thing is like the only time we've seen Sean Payton successful is when he had Drew Brees playing quarterback. So here's the other pipe dream that's out there is that wherever Sean Payton ends up next year, Tom Brady will go with him. Tom Brady's kids currently live in New York.
Oh, interesting.
So what more for drama than Brady going back to Belichick's division to end his career and be the Jets head coach? Just be the Jets quarterback.
Could you freaking imagine?
I don't know how to internalize rooting for Tom Brady for a football season.
Happy birthday, Andrew. Okay.
Yeah, literally us. My quarterback would have my birthday again because Zach Wilson's got the same birthday. One more.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, Zach Wilson, Tom Brady, and me. We all were born on August 3rd.
It's quite the love triangle. Equals peace. Thank you again for this contribution. Let's say the Knicks trade Obi. He balls in Indy, and then we make the playoffs, and Randle implodes again. That's an LOL Knicks special right there. Rose wouldn't survive that, in my opinion. I would say that if the Knicks make the playoffs, they could lose every playoff game by 100, and Leon Rose is not going anywhere. If he brings James Dolan's basketball team to the playoffs 2 out of 3 years, when they have made the playoffs four in the previous, let's see if I get my dates right. 4 in the previous 20. The 3 mellow years and then Marbury.
Yep.
Is that over a 20-year span?
Yeah.
Because they made it
since 2001, they made it, then lost to the Raptors.
No, I'm off by it. So 4 in 18, right? Because it starts at 02. They didn't make it. So maybe 4 in 19, actually. 4 in 19. No, 4 in 18. I think I was right. Whatever. If he makes it twice in 3 years, it's without a superstar player. He ain't going anywhere. And that's like, don't like the LOL Knicks stuff is like, that's going to happen if it happens. Make good trades for you. And you know how I could tell they don't care about reactions? They didn't ultimately, like they played the Donovan Mitchell thing like they played it.
Yeah.
I think if nothing else, and God knows I've been critical of them for how that was executed towards the end. But if nothing else, they did not care about the reactions.
So what I will say is look at the perceived shit show that Atlanta has become, a team that traded a lot of assets to kind of go all in on this roster, and they have a worse record than the Knicks.
Yeah.
That would be LOL Knicks. So that is a direction that if the Knicks had gone all in on Donovan Mitchell and were 20-19, it'd be different.
Yep.
They're mid, but they have their assets.
No, it's they're
what you want. Also, like I empathize with the rest of the comment. Like if Obi pops over in Indiana next to Halliburton, then that's a thing, and we have to deal with it and be like, man, why couldn't that have happened here?
Yep.
I will also say, I tend to think that the Randle thing is a little more sustainable because of 2 words, Jalen Brunson. So
look, we don't need to have this conversation right now. Like Obi's hurt.
Like,
they're not trading him, but
also make the playoffs and we'll let that world play out. Yeah.
Make the playoffs and actually maybe show up this time. All right.
Yeah.
Any other super chats?
That is it. We can say
okay. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. This was great. Appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget to like this video, as well as if you have not already done so, subscribe to this channel. And of course, follow Knicks Film School on all of your social media platforms at Knicks Film School. That's SKOOL. Let's make it 3 in a row on Wednesday night. We'll see you then. In the meantime, pod dropping with Jeremy, the whole thing. We'll talk to you soon.